There we go. Today's class, we're starting on our back. So if you want to bring yourself down onto your mat, it doesn't matter how you lay, but if you do tend to have a sore lower back, bending the knees can often feel a little bit nicer here. But if you want to just bring a star shape into the morning, then feel free to. So get yourself settled, find that comfy spot. And just for this first few seconds, 30 seconds or so, let's just connect with our breath. Just start to hear the breath, feel the breath. Lay your attention on it. Don't necessarily move into our ujjayi breath or anything too deep just yet. Just breathing what feels good. So now we're going to do 3 deep cleansing breaths together. We're going to settle back into our breath whilst we're laying down. So let's inhale as deep as we can. Just hold at the top just for a second or two. And then out through the mouth. And again in. Hold at the top. And then out. One more time in. And hold. And exhale. So if that's feeling good, you want to do some more of those, then feel free. If not, let's just settle into the breath now, finding a little bit more depth now. So finding an inhale count that suits you. And then mirroring that count on the exhale. Few more moments here. And let's begin our flow. So if you want to gently draw the knees into the chest, remain hold of the shins or the lower knees. And if you want, giving a little rock from side to side on the spine, having a little massage through the spine there. And then resting, keeping hold of the right shin and extending out through the left leg. So making a lot of space between the toes and the knee. And then we're going to move into a supine twist. So taking hold of the knee with the left hand and guiding it over to the left. The right arm extends out, taking your gaze to follow. So remember, this isn't about getting the knee all the way down to the ground. It's about finding that twist up through the side of the body, that stretch through the hip. And then gently moving back to centre, guiding both knees in. And then swapping over sides, so extending out through the right leg. Taking the left knee in. So find that space, bringing the knee up as high on the chest as you can. And then taking that knee over towards the right, extending out through the left arm. bring yourself back to center, guiding both knees in. So we're going to do a variation now of the supine twist. And this time we're going to take both knees over. So taking both knees over to the left. So you can let them fall on the floor if that's where they go. If there is a bit of a gap, if it feels okay, that's all right. But if you are hating it and feeling uncomfortable, then just extend the lower leg and move back to the first supine twist. We will still want to extend that through our right arm though here and take your gaze over to the right fingertips. So try and keep your knees stacked on top of each other. You want to bring them as high as you comfortably can as well here. And let's try and bring them back to center, either using the hands or using your core. Guiding both knees into your chest again. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So line up your knees and then guide them over to the right. Extend out through the left arm. Couple more breaths. And again, bring your knees back to your chest. Best way that suits you. Guiding your knees into your chest again. One more squeeze. And then placing your feet flat on the ground, ready to do a recline pigeon pose. So your feet want to be roughly between mat and hip distance apart. And we're going to hook over the right ankle over the left knee to begin. So flex through the foot, that knee guiding away. So depending on how we're feeling this morning, you may want to press the thigh away, and this may feel enough. Or if we have the space, we're going to grab hold of the underside of the left thigh or even the shin and draw the legs in towards you. Try and maintain there that moving out through the right knee and that flex through the foot. And then take a second just to focus on our spine. We want to try and uncurl our spine onto the mat. Paying attention to the lower spine. If you find that you're really curling up, then you may want to lower the foot back to the ground and just maybe use your hand to guide out instead. Another breath or two. And then lowering down, we're going to go straight onto the other side. So unhooking the right foot and then hook over the left, setting yourself up, knee moving away, flexing through the foot, deciding how it feels, and then staying here or taking it a little bit deeper. Just going over those focus points again, the flex of the foot, the knee, the uncurling of the spine onto the mat. Another breath or two. And then lowering back down. We're going to keep the feet in the same position. So unhooking them, bringing both feet flat to the ground. We're going to move into a bridge pose now. We're going to keep our hands by our sides, palms flat to the ground. And then pressing into the ground with our hands and our arms, we're going to lift the hips up. So stay strong through the thighs here, the gaze is up. Maintaining the breath. And then lowering down, gathering the knees back into the chest. And then we're going to try and roll our way onto the knees. So some of you may be able to roll up and go over your legs. Some of you may need to make an adjustment to come onto your knees from here. But we're all going to meet in our tabletop. And let's do 3 rounds of cat-cow from here. So let's inhale, head and tailbone up. Exhale, curling round. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Last round in. And exhale. Bringing ourselves to a neutral spine, and we're going to settle ourselves into child's now. So if it feels comfortable, just part your knees a little bit more and then settle back with your hips towards the heels. And then take a moment to feel the stretch out through the side of the body, through the arms, through the fingertips and resting your head down to the ground. So just a couple of pointers if you find child pose not as comfy as other people. If you want to bring the thighs together, you can always rest the body over the thighs instead. We're going to bring a little side stretch into this now, so lifting just a little bit up and then walking our hands over towards the right. We're going to stretch out through the left fingertips and pull back with the left hips. So you feel the stretch moving from the armpit all the way down to the left hip. And then lowering. Let's work our way around to the other side. So stretch out through the right fingertips, pull back with the right hip. Another breath. Bringing ourselves back to centre, back into that child's pose. And let's move into a downward facing dog. So lifting up through the hips. This first one, make it a little bit wider so we can work through the toes and the ankles. Having a little pedal out. Now when you feel ready, settling yourself into the pose. So take some focus on your fingers spreading out, rolling the shoulders from your ears, maybe taking some softness through the knees. So bringing the ribs towards the thighs. The gaze goes through the legs towards the back of your room. Another breath. We're going to roll ourselves forward now into a bit of a plank pose. So you may just want to adjust where the feet are. Let's take an inhale at the top. And we're going to exhale, come all the way down onto the ground. So with control, bringing yourself all the way down. And then bringing your forearms out slightly in front of you, ready for a Sphinx pose. So if you do experience some tightness in the back, then do bring your elbows a little bit further forward. If you're all right, you may want to bring them further back. So when you're ready, pressing into the ground, focus on pulling the chest forward and then the shoulders back, not just sort of just flopping yourself back, putting all the pressure into the spine. So chest forward, find the space. Remember, you can always adjust yourself if it's not feeling good or if it's not feeling enough. Another breath or two. And lowering down. We're going to glide back into a child's pose. Stay here for a breath or two. Lift up into downward dog. Walk forward to the front of the mat. You want your feet to be parted, ready for a ragdoll. So hold the elbows, find the weight, folding forward, weight slightly into the balls of the feet. A little sway, make sure the neck is loose here as well. And as we inhale, we're going to bring the feet together, take our hands to prayer overhead and come in just to a gentle back bend. So move the hips forward, gently come back. So nothing too drastic, just gentle here. And then we're going to exhale, move into a forward fold. So we can take hold of the back of our legs here, draw ourselves in. Or if you want to soften the knees to draw your body over, that's fine too. And a breath or two here. Going to inhale, circling the arms outwards, bringing arms overhead, landing in prayer, settling down into heart, hands down by the side. So this little routine you can bring into your morning. It can feel quite nice. if you do suffer with lower back issues. So from moving at this point, you can gently move yourself back down to the ground. We don't need to do this, I'm just going through it. And again, we move into the twists and go through the routine again. Do that as many times as you feel, as a little routine to bring into your day. So now we're going to go through our salutation. So standing in our mountain pose, finding our breath, taking our hands to prayer to begin. We're going to do a little wrist warm up. So we're going to rotate the wrists 3 times one way, and then reverse, take them 3 times the other. So if you want to, you can take your hands up with the one direction and then reverse and bring them back down. A few more moments. Taking the hands out in front of you now, some big star shapes with the fingers. And then resting your hands down by your side. Mountain pose, take a breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, lifting up through the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Take some softness if you need it here in the knees. Halfway lift, fingers to floor, hands to shin. And moving into crescent lunge. So stepping back with the right leg, hooking the right toes. Lift up with the arms. So work on your balance, find that. Then bring a little bit of weight into the hips from here. So we're going to carefully lower the back knee down to the ground now. Bring a little bit of weight into the low lunge. And now we're going to move into downward facing dog. So taking the hands down, stepping ourselves back, finding our down dog. We're going to lift up through the right leg, 3-leg dog. High as you're able to. We're going to bend the knee and then open the hip, a little hip open from here. So we open up a little bit more through that right hip, the right foot going down towards the left bum cheek. Extending back out, 3-leg dog. And then we're going to gently lower down to both of our knees. And lift up into a supported camel. So coming onto the knees, holding onto the lower spine. So hips forward, chest up, open up the chest. Bringing ourselves to neutral spine again. We're going to step forward with the left leg. We're going to come into a low lunge again. So with your right toes hooked, we're going to carefully move into crescent lunge. So hooking, trying to lift up with the back knee. Now we're going to try and come to the front of the mat to come into another standing back bend like we did at the beginning. So I'm going to bring my weight forward, bring my feet together, hands to prayer. Again, hips forward, chest up. And then exhale, forward fold. Again, softness through the knees if you need. And then inhale, circling the arms outwards. Over the head, hands to prayer, bringing them at heart. Hands down by our side. So let's take a breath, inhale. Exhale. So same thing, other side. Inhale through the arms. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back, left leg, crescent lunge. Balance. Rise up with the arms. Settle the weight into the hips. Carefully lower the back knee to the ground, taking some weight forward into the low lunge. Downward dog. Hands come down, stepping ourselves back. Just connect with the breath, build the space through the back of the body as you breathe. And now three-leg dog, lifting up through the left leg. So find the height, bend the knee, open the hip. Extending back to three-leg dog. And then gently lowering down to the knees, coming into that supported camel. So we rise up, hold the lower spine, hips forward, chest up. Bringing ourselves back to our neutral spine and stepping forward with the right foot now into the low lunge. Hooking the back toes, carefully bringing yourself up into our crescent. And now weight forward to draw my feet together, hands to prayer, back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle arms, overhead, prayer, settling down to heart. Hands down by our side. Perfect. So we're going to do the same routine again, but we're going to pop lizard into the middle of the pose now. So let's take a breath, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, up through the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back, right leg, crescent lunge. Carefully lower the back knee, weight forward. You do need to adjust the distance, then you can always just slide the front foot forward a little bit to get more angle through that hip flexor. And now let's move into our lizard pose. So we're going to heel toe this left foot towards the edge of the mat. And you want to take the back knee as far back as you can comfortably get it. Start on your fingertips. Take a breath, inhale. This could feel enough, or we can maybe lower down to the ground, or maybe use a block. So we want to try and keep the knee and the ankle above each other here, making like a pillar. If you find that everything's sort of coming out, then you may want to heel toe them out a little bit more to make a bigger frame, or it may also be coming out because you've got quite a high level of flexibility. So if it feels really nice and you're gaining a stretch on finding that openness and coming down, then that is okay. But if you're still working on getting that flexibility, I would try and keep a nice pillar through that front leg. And then lifting ourselves up from here. So we're going to bring a little twist in to the lizard now. So we do have some variations. So I'm going to keep my left hand onto the ground. My right hand onto the ground, Right hand onto the ground, bend my right leg, and I'm going to reach back with my left hand. And with the front leg, my left knee, I'm going to open my knee. I'm going to do a little corkscrew. So my knee opens up along with my foot and my hips are going to drop down. I'm going to twist round. So this may not be available to everyone. So if we're struggling to grab the foot at the back, you can lift yourself up and bend the knee behind you instead. Okay, so we can do this. This is going to focus quite strongly on that quad stretch. Alternatively, if you feel that an openness here through the hip is going to feel better for you this morning, then we can focus on that instead, just opening out through that left knee. So lots of options if that full lizard twist isn't available to you. And then unwinding ourselves, hands down, downward facing dog. So after lizard, I think it's always nice to have a little pedal out through the legs here. Settling ourselves in downward dog. And let's find our 3-leg dog. So right leg lifts up, knee bends, twist through the hips. So that heel is moving down towards the left bum cheek as we open up with the right hip. 3-leg dog again. And then gently lower down to the knees, supported camel. Lower spine, open chest. So for some of you, if you have the range, you may not feel like you want to take hold of the lower spine, and you can take your hands into prayer and lift them overhead instead. But I suppose it depends on your flexibility and what time of day it is really. Moving ourselves back through centre and coming back into that low lunge. So we're going to step forward with the left leg. Weight forward, up with the arms. Crescent lunge, hook the back toes, rising up with the knee. I'm going to bring my weight forward, feet together, hands to prayer, gentle back bend. Forward fold. Circling the arms out, overhead to prayer, to heart, by our side. Take a breath, inhale, and exhale. So same thing, other side. Inhale through the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, hands to shin, fingertips to floor. Stepping back, left foot, hook the toes. Rising up, finding that crescent lunge, letting our weight settle. And then gently lowering down with the back knee, weight settles forward. And let's find our way into lizard pose. So just take your hands down. We're going to heel toe the right foot now to the edge of the mat, or as far out as you need it to be. Start on your fingertips, see what your back knee's doing. Again, remember this can feel enough. Inhale or exhale, moving down towards the ground. Few more breaths. So avoid the urge to move back with the hips in this pose, okay? It is quite an intense pose, but if it becomes too much, perhaps come onto the hands instead, the fingertips. Just keep the weight moving forward. And everyone lifting themselves onto the hands if you're not already there. I'm going to go through those twist variations now. So we can keep on our left hand as we reach back with the right hand onto the foot. So if you've got hold of that foot, we can open the right knee, let the foot come open, we find that twist. So I'm just going to do it this way so you can see what's happening. So my knee opens up, I'm twisting down, so my left hip comes down as I twist round. If this isn't available, then we have the lift with the arms, bend with the knee, or hand onto the knee as we open here instead. Moving to centre, hands come down, downward dog, working through those legs a little bit here. Take a breath. Lower, sorry, I'm not lowering to the knees yet, am I? I'm lifting it with my left leg, going into the hip stretch. So bending the knee, opening the hip. Back out, 3-leg dog. Now we're going to lower to the knees and go into the supported camel. So lifting up, taking hold of the spine, or lifting up through the arms, whatever works for you. Rising up, coming back to neutral. You're going to step forward with the right leg this time, coming back into that low lunge. Hooking the back toes up we come with the crescent. Weight forward, feet together, gentle back bend. Exhale, fold. Rising up, arms come out, overhead to prayer by our side. So again, standing in mountain, let's take a breath. Inhale, exhale. So this time we're going to keep the lizard and the lizard twist in the flow, but we're also going to add in some pigeon variations this time too. This will be our last time going through this flow. So inhale up through the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back with the right foot. Crescent lunge. The weight gently drop in. Gently guide the back knee down. Low lunge. And it's lizard time, so the hands come down, heel toe that left foot out. So hopefully after this first one we can see what works for us, or maybe we can take a breath or two and go deeper into the pose. So take a moment and then settling into what feels good for you right now. Lifting up onto our hands and then moving into the twist or the variations of that. So the weight is in our right hand as we bend the back leg and reach back with the left hand. The left knee opens up and take the twist. Remember, we can come into the higher lunge, bend the back leg, or open that front knee, whatever works. Guiding back to centre, releasing, hands to the ground. Stepping back, downward dog, a little work through the legs. Settling into down dog, finding a breath. And lifting up now, right leg, three-leg dog. Nice and high with the leg, then bend the knee, open the hip. Extend out, three-leg dog. Lower to the knees, supported camel. Coming to neutral, stepping forward with the left leg, we're going to come back into the low lunge. And now we're going to move into pigeon from here. So I'm going to heel toe my foot over to the other side of the mat, then to let it guide down from here. So if you're not feeling that transition, please do, you maybe want to move into downward dog and take the left knee to the left wrist there instead. So lower the hips down to the ground, take that back leg out as far as it will go. Take a moment, inhale. We're either staying here or we're going to bring a little bit of weight into the pose on our forearms or out with our arms. Settling our breath again, back in this stillness. Another breath or two. And lifting up onto our fingertips. So we're going to go through our mermaid options. So we're going to bend the back knee. This could be enough. Or we reach around with the right arm. So I'm making a little C shape with my hand and I'm hooking over the big toe side of my foot, drawing that foot in towards me. So from here you may want to play with the balance, and with that back arm you may be able to slide into the elbow crease, maybe lift it. What I would say is unless your hips are quite close to the ground, the balance is going to be tough. We can always pop a block underneath the left thigh to help with that. And then releasing down. So we're going to give our double pigeon a go. It's also known as fire log pose. Done this before. So we're going to swing this back leg round and try and place it on top of the left leg. So I'll move myself around. So what we want to do is to try and line the shins on top of each other and try and bring them roughly in line with the mat. So I know there is a bit of a curve through our shin bone, but roughly a straight line. So you've got like an inverted triangle void in between your legs. So the ankle should be over the knees. So the ankle on the knee here, or the knee over the ankle, flexing through the foot like we always do in pigeon. So I appreciate this isn't going to work for everyone. So if you're looking a bit more like this, then take the top foot and bring it onto the floor, drawing it in. If you like this and it's feeling okay, then we can remain there. If you're sitting in this pose and saying, I'm not really sure what I'm meant to be feeling here, then what we can do is go a little bit deeper into it by moving the feet away from each other. Okay, so sliding them away, but still maintaining that sort of straight line through the shins. So if you wanted the last two options, and it's feeling all right, but maybe we can take it deeper, then we come onto the fingertips, feel the extension out through our body, and then we bring some weight over the thighs, bringing our body over the thighs, stretching out through the fingertips. And quite often then that will be the point, then you start feeling that quite deep stretch through the hips, through the side of the thighs, and then you have control as well on how deep you take it. If your knee is up quite high, then like I said, you can grab hold of the thigh here, coming into a bit more of a twist pose. Well done. And releasing from here. So we want to move into downward dog now. Some of you may be able to cross the legs, roll over. Some of you will need to come onto the knees. So do as you need to find your down dog. We're going to step forward with the left leg to the front of the mat, moving into crescent. So hooking the back toes up through the arms. Weight forward, feet together, gentle back bends. Forward fold. Arms out to the side, we rise up, hands to prayer. Settle at heart. Hands down by our side. Take a breath and exhale. So our last round now, completing on the other side. So inhale through the arms. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Step back, left leg, crescent lunge. Up with the arms, find the balance, settle the weight. So try and engage the thighs. So you want to sort of pull up through the kneecap almost in this back leg. Carefully lower the back knee. Weight moves forward. Take any adjustment through the feet as you need. Hands come down to the ground, lizard pose. Heel toe the right foot out towards the edge. On the fingertips, back knee back as far as you're able to. Take a moment, inhale. And then exhale, settling in to whatever works for you right now. Lifting ourselves up back onto our hands and going through our lizard twist variation options. So if we're going for the full pose, we take our left hand onto the ground, reach back with the right, squeezing that heel in. I'm going to open my right knee as I take that little twist, like a little corkscrew. Or come out of the pose into a low lunge and bend the back knee or open that front knee. Coming out of the pose, hands to the ground, downward dog, little walk out through the legs. Settling into down dog, let's engage with our breath. And 3-leg dog, lifting up through the left leg this time, nice and high. Bend the knee, open the hips. Extending back, 3-leg dog. And gently guiding ourselves down onto our knees, supported camel. Coming up to neutral, stepping forward with our right foot into our low lunge. And then coming into our pigeon. So we can heel toe the foot over to the other side of the mat and then let the knee move down to the ground. Or move into down dog and then take your knee there like we usually do. So settling with your hips, taking that back leg back. Deciding how we feel, inhale. Staying here or bringing some weight into the pose. Lifting ourselves up. Let's move into our mermaid options. So here from our fingertips we bend the back knee. You may be able to reach back with the left hand. So big toe side of my foot, drawing it in, finding balance or finding that mermaid pose. And the breath. And gently releasing. So we're going to whip around this back leg and we're going to place the left one on top of the right this time. So let's come into this double pigeon pose. So again, a bit of a straight line. We're trying to line these front shins up, ankle over the knee or knee above the ankle. Do not be surprised if this side feels a lot different than the first one, so we can adjust as we need to. So if it's up here, it's not feeling the most comfortable in the world, then we're going to drop this top foot down to the ground, draw it in. If it's almost knee to ankle contact, then you can remain here as long as it feels okay. If you're struggling to feel anything, then we can draw the feet away from each other, keeping that line. So taking a moment, find some extension out through the spine, and then we can bring a little bit of weight over the legs. Taking it as deep as we need to. Gently lifting up. Downward dog time, moving into it however works for us. So the legs over, Maybe stepping back or coming onto our knees first. Crescent lunge, stepping forward with the right foot, up with the arms. Weight forward, feet together, hands to prayer, gentle bend. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms circle outwards, overhead to prayer, and settling down to heart. Hands down by our side. Take a breath in and exhale. So no hip clasp would be complete without a little Malasana pose. So we're going to bring our feet around mat distance apart, turning the feet outwards. So I will go through variations if we need to. So hands to prayer, inhale lift. And then listening to what your body's got to say, we're going to bend the knees, draw ourselves down. So if it's hurting the knees, do not keep going. Bringing yourself as low as you're able to. So if you are able to come roughly down here the way I am, then we can make some assessments here. So you may need to bring the feet wider or closer together, just depending on how we're put together, okay? If you're on your toes, so this can be do with our ankle flexion. And if we don't have that full range, it's going to be sometimes hard to get our heels down to the ground. So feel free to hold on to stuff. You can bring something underneath the heels from here. If we are here, try and bring the elbows inside of the knees, lifting up. Alternatively, if we're not down here yet, we're going to do more like a sumo squat, okay? And bring ourselves here instead. If you're in the lower Malasana squat, you can just a little sway on your hips perhaps. That can feel nice. If you're comfy down there. And let's gently lower ourselves down. You can use your hands if you want to, onto the ground from here. So we're going to extend out through our legs. We're going to move into a forward fold. So taking our hands into prayer, lift up. So stretch out through the body, through our arms, hollow the belly in. And let's go over the legs, okay? The length of the legs. So I don't mind how you hold on to the feet if you're already down here. So the toes, the edge, over the top. A block if we have the space, or we've got the strap option, or the floor option. But what we're trying to do is move forward from our chest, not curling down with the head, okay? So hollow the belly, ribs towards the thighs, head towards the feet. So keep active through the legs as well here. So the toes are pointing up, the knees are pointing up, our thighs are active. And gently guiding ourselves up from here. So we're going to do a couple more twist pose. So bringing the right foot over the left thigh. And we're going to draw the left arm around the thigh. So squeezing it in, right hand behind, lift up through the spine, gaze is coming back. So if there is enough space, some of you may be able to hook the elbow over the knee and bring a little bit more twist out through the body. But I'll leave that up to you to decide what's best. So this left leg, the one that's on the floor, active, toes up, knees up, not just letting it flop about. And let's gently unwind. We're going to unhook, extend the right, and hook over with the left. So exactly the same. We're going to come round with the right arm, squeezing it in, deciding how that's feeling. If we've got space, hooking over with the elbow, drawing your body through. So try and keep the spine nice and high like we always do with these twists. So if you're finding that you're curling round and hunching out through the spine, you may want to come onto your fingertips behind you to help with that height. This left shoulder, they always just want to sag forward. Try and lift up bring back, open the chest. And let's gently unwind, extend the legs. And then we're going to come onto our forearms behind us into a fish pose variation. So like you're lounging on the beach, lift up through the chest, shoulders back. If it feels okay, let the neck come back. If not, just bring the chin to the chest. So keep pressing down through the forearms, chest lifting up. And gently releasing. We're going to come onto our back now and draw our knees into our chest. So we're going to finish off with those couple of twists, those supine twist options that we did at the beginning. So keeping a hold of our right shin, so we extend out through the left leg. And keeping hold of the knee, guiding it over to the left. Your right arm extending out. So try and get the knee as high up as you can and keep that height as you take it over. So just remembering that it's not about getting the knee to the ground. Bringing ourselves back up to centre, gathering both knees in again. Same pose to the side, extend out through the right, keeping hold of the left. Guiding the knee over to the right and extending out through the left arm. And back through centre, gathering the knees in again. So we're going to do the double knee one now, unless it's not working for you, in which case do the first one again. So knees up as high as you're able to, and then taking them both over to the left. Trying to keep the knees aligned with each other, extending out through the right arm. So it doesn't matter whether your knees are on the ground or not necessarily. But if it is causing you discomfort, if your knees aren't on the ground, then you can either use something underneath your knees, or I suggest going back to the first option. So either using our hands or our core, we lift the legs back up to centre, drawing into the chest. And then other side, knees guide over to the right as we extend out through the left. Another couple of breaths. Bringing our knees back to centre, giving them another little hug in. And then letting yourself just uncurling to whatever position works for you best in Shavasana. So just settle the breath. We're going to come back to those 3 deep cleansing breaths we did at the beginning, then we'll settle into our Shavasana. So inhale as deep as you can. Hold at the top. And exhale. And again in. And hold. Exhale. Last time in. And hold. And exhale. If you feel like doing a few more of those, then feel free, or just find your way back to your natural rhythm of breath. So let's just take a little tour through the body. Notice any areas we still may be holding on to. Gently releasing, melting into our mats. Another few moments. Let's take now some movement through our fingers and toes. Arms overhead. Nice long stretch out with the legs. Pulling the ribs open, belly button down to the mat. Knees guiding into the chest. And let's gently work our way up to seated. So make sure you're sitting however's comfortable. Hands over knees or resting just in your lap. Let your spine lift, heart radiate forward, shoulders soft from the ears. Let's take a gentle inhale. And softly out through the mouth. Continue to feel that release through the body and inhale. Exhale. Hands at prayer at the heart. Let's just take a moment to start our weekend with positive thoughts and a full and grateful heart. Another gentle inhale. Softly out. And Namaste. Thank you, everyone.